So it's been a little while since we brought out a skinning to gold cap video, but it is back for you today and with something just a little bit different. So ordinarily in this series we have been looking at getting high value items from skinning, with occasionally the odd common item there to fill up the numbers and get a little bit of the steady gold along with the big gold that we get from those rare items. But in today's video, it's more a case of we're actually going out to try and get legacy items that once upon a time were quite common. The item in question is the Prismatic scale, which is the scale equivalent of the leathers from Mists of Pandaria, and we are going to be farming this in the Dread Wastes. Now, you may be thinking, why are we going after a common item when there are so many legacy items that we could go for if we were going for commons? Why would it be this one? And that is quite simply that Mists of Pandaria skinning is often overlooked, and a lot of the items from here actually retain their value quite well. They aren't particularly easy to farm, and also anywhere that people do farm in the common leveling areas tend to provide the leather and not the scales, meaning that this item, while always being relatively common in nature and being a white item, is going to retain its value quite well simply due to low supply. The obvious benefits to the fact that this is in low supply is that you will have less competition. Now, I have farmed this location that I'm going to show you in today's video quite a few times now, and I've never seen anyone else here, nor have I had much competition on the auction house from people acquiring the items at different times or in different locations, meaning I have a pretty large percentage of the market, and therefore if there are going to be sales of this item, chances are it's going to be from my stock. Now, the mobs that you see me farming here are the chill water turtles in Dread Wastes. I popped them up here to show you where you're going to be farming these turtles, and the farm is actually incredibly simple. All we're going to be doing is just going around in essentially a bit of a circle of the spawns of these turtles and trying to farm them in an efficient manner. Now, due to the fact that you have to go and manually skin every one of these turtles, you're very unlikely going to get to the point where you have no turtles left to kill and skin, providing that your route is efficient. But obviously, given that this is basically a giant circle, there you are just going to be going around the perimeter and proceeding from one mob to the next. In my experience, per mob, I tend to end up with either one Prismatic scale or two of the leathers for the Mists of Pandaria expansion. And that is either for me a 20 gold value in the scale or 7 gold per leather, so 14 gold value per mob from the leathers. If we assume a roughly 50% split between getting the scales and getting the leathers, that means that you can average out this value as being 17 gold per mob that you skin, which is pretty high. Other points of note for this farm are the fact that because this is a Mists of Pandaria farm, anything from this expansion can drop Motes of Harmony. You are going to get so very few of them that I do not recommend it as a farm for Motes of Harmony. There are far better ways of getting them, but if you are here to do the skinning, there is a very good chance that you'll pick up a few along the way. And of course, like most expansions, Mists of Pandaria has a rare form of item that you can get whenever you are skinning any mob from the expansion, and in this case it is magnificent hides. Now, in the 5 or 6 minutes that I spent gathering the footage for doing this, I did actually manage to get a magnificent hide, and for me they are selling for about 400 gold each. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about for this farm is how to get there. Now, this is quite an easy place to get to in the fact that all you will have to do is get to your capital city, and then you will have to take the portal to Honeydew Village and fly west in order to get to the Dread Wastes. But the point that I want to make is that a lot of us will have picked up skinning after the Mists of Pandaria expansion had completed, and you do want to be making sure that you have the Mists of Pandaria skinning skill. Now, the trainer to train this skill is in the village that you land at, right next to the portal when you arrive from taking the portal from your capital city. So before you begin flying over to the Dread Wastes, it's worth your while just having a look either in your spellbook or by talking to the NPC and see if there's training available for you, because if you do not take this training, you will be getting parts like fragments of these scales and obviously then you are cutting down your profits dramatically. Once you have picked up the skill, however, you do not need to worry particularly about leveling the skill, as you will be leveling this in just a couple of minutes by performing the farm itself, and you do actually see very little in terms of diminishing returns for what you are getting per mob at being level 1 comparative to being level 75 in the skill, which is the max, or at least that was the case for me. If you find that you have differing results, then please do let me know down in the comments below. The skinning skill itself is 40 gold to train, so do have a minimum of that amount of gold on you if you do not find yourself with the skinning already capable to your character. And the final point I want to make is about the mobs themselves. While we are here for the chillwater turtles that are located just north of this lake, if you were on your route to go past the northern border of the lake, you will find these crocolisks as well along there, which have similar skinning results to the chillwater turtles. In addition, however, when you loot these crocolisks, they will also have the potential to drop plump intestines, which is a container item, and when you open it you will receive roughly 1 to 2, possibly even 3 gold in raw gold, as well as a grey item. The grey items are only going to sell to the vendor for anywhere from about 50 copper to 5 gold, but it is notable after you have collected quite a few. However, the reason that we aren't farming these crocolisks is because they do not have the respawn rate that you get from the turtles. So I find it best to farm the turtles, and whenever I happen to be going past the northern edge of the water, I just go and see if there are any crocolisks for me to kill along the way. The border for the turtles does actually overlap into the crocolisk territory, so you will be killing both while you're there, so it is worth having a look as you fly past. But that's going to about do it for today's video, guys. I do hope that you enjoyed the video, and I do hope that you liked that we have branched out a little bit from going for these rare items to something that is a more higher value common item. If you did, please do let me know down in the comments below, and feel free to subscribe or like the video as you wish. But for now, guys, that's going to about do it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Later.